Let's talk about the new energy era that has descended upon Earth. Wow. I don't know if you can feel it, but I can sure feel it. Just incredible. If you've been here a while, you may have noticed that we have wiped out the previous 10 years of YouTube videos on the New Energy Creator page. That's because this new energy era is calling for something totally different, something totally new. New in the English language kind of refers to new as opposed to old, or new in a timeline. I have an old car, I have a new car. But new in the new energy era really refers to a quality, a freshness, a new way of being in life, a whole new quality, knowing that there's some other option, there's something there, but not quite being able to put your words on it because it's just that fresh and new. So the word I've been using, it came to me in a vision, Kainos, K-A-I-N-O-S. So of course, I consulted Father Google and realized that Kainos is the Greek word for this kind of new. Wow. So Kainos is the new energy era. Kainos is the quality that you're feeling inside of yourself, but just can't quite put the words on. This new energy era is really interesting because all the spiritual materials and the whole construct of the spiritual journey has kind of been wiped clean. It's kind of obsolete. So if you've been reaching out to things that used to fill you up, make you reorient, finding some sort of peace, you reach out to them and they feel empty, this is why. This is why, because reaching out for old things, especially spiritual teachings, the way the ancient yogis did it, the way the ascended masters did it. I worked with an ascended master named Katumi for the last 5 years, and he gave so many good insights into this light body expression, what he called the light body expression. And yet, even he is saying, wait a second, forget everything I taught you. This new energy era is calling for something new. So it's not that we've ditched Katumi, right? It's that there's something else out there available to us all. New energy is an infinite energy source. When I have a lot, I haven't taken anything from those who have a little, right? When we go back to the times of Yeshua and he's flipping over the money changing table and he's very irritated at the greed of the religious leaders of his time, it's because the haves create the have-nots. That's what happens in a finite energy. A finite energy means some people have and some people do not. The more you take from the buffet, the less others have to eat, right? But in the new energy, it's very, very different. I have been talking to Yeshua a lot, and he said if he were on Earth right now, this is him making a cartoon out of it. If he were on Earth right now, he would be flying on a private jet wearing a Gucci suit. And I said, explain to me why you would be living this luxurious life in this new energy era as opposed to the lifetime you lived 2,025 years ago, where you were an advocate for justice, for the poor, advocating for the oppressed. And he said it's because the benefit of all is always his most important thing. His most important thing is the ability for everybody to reach out in, or reach in rather, and have exactly what they need. And he said if he were here on Earth in this new energy era, The best thing for all of humanity would be to live your life well. Now, I understand that not everybody's version of living their life well is a private jet and a Gucci suit. I do happen to like luxurious things. You may have noticed that my appearance has changed. You know, I spent the last years being casual. I was just like you, going through spiritual integration after spiritual integration, spending a lot of time in my pajamas and not caring about my appearance because what did it matter? Something shifted when this new light influx and this new energy era, Kainos, descended upon Earth. And I'll talk about why it came and how it came and all the details of that. Just be patient with me. So if you were one of those people who was constantly in the, I'm going to go out and try life, and then you went out and tried life, and then you retreated back, and then you integrated some more stuff, went on another cleanse, remove yourself from society to hunker down in your apartment or your house or a cottage in the woods, only to realize, okay, now I need to live my life, and then you went out and tried it again, and then you retreated back. The new energy era is calling for you to get dressed, brush your hair, leave the house, and interact in life. Understanding how energy works is so important. If you don't know or don't remember, Earth was created by cosmic beings for one purpose: to understand how energy works. You see, when we left oneness, right? We were all one, right? When we left oneness and received our individuality, something that we cherish and relish and celebrate, individuality, we are not all one. We may have come from that, but we will never go back to that. I am all one, and you are all one. And when we both sit in that space, we can really do something together. So when we left oneness, an individuated soul was formed, for lack of a better term. We came from all different parts and pieces of the cosmos, different planets, different constellations, different angelic families. And we were all looking for this longing, this desire, this need to connect to something, created a search for energy. Right? And we began to fight amongst ourselves to steal energy. Before Earth was even created, energy stealing was a thing. So we would go out in the cosmos looking for this energy and ended up getting in a war with another angelic family, with another constellation, with another part of the cosmos. We have cosmic origins. No one is originally an earthling, though some of us have been here long enough to claim local status, right? So we got together and we said, look, we're just fighting over this limited energy resources. We are fighting over these limited energy resources, and there's never going to be a solution. Energy is all about solutions. It's all about filling up that longing, that desire for something you feel like you're missing. And that desire, that longing came from leaving oneness. The only way back to it is to reconnect with our consciousness. No one watching this, and no one on earth really has a consciousness problem, right? You're full and flowing with consciousness at all times. What I'm really seeing happen is that there's too much information. The real villain in the story is not that someone's withholding information from you, or you're missing a piece, or there's anything wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you or anybody. It's simply that we're not looking in the right direction, which is inward rather than outward. So going back to the creation story of Earth, Earth was created to slow down time and space and create a physical, dense reality. Earth is the most dense reality in all of creation. And we did that for one reason. We wanted to learn how energy works. And that's the cosmic goal, is to learn how energy works. However, the goal inside of yourself, to me, what's going on inside of myself is all of creation. And when I look at you, what's going on in your day-to-day life is directly represented in all of creation. When you argue with your bank account, when you're running out of money, when you're running out of love from another, they withdraw their love, they withdraw their support, and then you're left empty. That is a direct representation of the energy wars in all of creation, right? So when you fill yourself up, when you find the new path to living an abundant life, you're actually opening up passageways in all of creation. Fast forward to 2023. There's a long, complicated story about how the passageways in all of creation were closed at the fall of Atlantis. I'm not going to get into that in the video today. I really want to keep it as basic as possible to set us on the trajectory of Kainos, of the new energy era, right? But there was an event that occurred at the fall of Atlantis that made Earth self-contained. Right? People started to, beings from other places in creation started to look at Earth as a place to exploit, right? As a place to exploit energy, to exploit the workforce that was created through the standardized human form that we all inhabit today, right? And to protect Earth and the original intent of Earth, which was completely innocent. We made Earth beings like you and us, and you and I made Earth a self-contained mechanism in the entire map of creation. This preserved the intent of Earth, but an unintended side effect is that it cut off parts and pieces of yourself. Cosmic parts and pieces, the part of you who originally left oneness, the part of you who's from a far corner edge of creation. As I said, none of us are original earthlings, though some of us have held physical form long enough to claim local status as a human. There's also a lot more people inhabiting their biological bodies on Earth who have not had thousands and thousands of lifetimes. And I'm really hoping to be able to reach out to some of those people too. They're like, I'm here, I'm on Earth. I don't really know why, and this place is kind of messed up. How do I deal with this? It's the same place that many of you who've been on Earth for 1,000, 2,000 lifetimes are finding yourself in today. There's a lot in common. So as these passageways began to open up in creation, Earth is no longer the self-contained area, mechanism, structure that it once was. The good news is that you get to reclaim all the energy that was cut off and trapped out in the other pieces and parts and pieces of creation. Oh my goodness, I get to reclaim my true cosmic nature, to understand the grand design of not just Earth, but all of creation. So to inhabit this new energy, this kainos, this quality of freshness and a new way to be on Earth, there's several things that need to occur. First of all, if you've been at this spiritual journey a while, what I see in my work, in meeting with you in person, in 10 years of data, is that you're not lacking information at all. There's no lack of information. If I boiled the problem down, it would be that there's too much information, too many spiritual processes. I meet with very conscious beings and their healing modality list is insane. I met with an Ayurvedic specialist. I'm smoking my feet with incense. I have cranial sacral work. I have this, I have that. There's nothing wrong with healing modalities. It's the reach out, right? It's the reach out to try to find something external to make yourself whole. That's what created the energy wars in creation in the first place, a reaching out to something outside yourself to make yourself feel whole. You end the energy war inside of yourself, and for those who are like me and like Yeshua, who I had a lifetime with, I was his daughter, if you stop the energy war inside of yourself, you're supporting the growth, the health, the expansion of all of creation and its peaceful existence, rather than the threats that we have continued to deal with over eons and eons of time. Wow, right? It's that direct. How you interact with life is a direct representation of what happens in all of creation and the health of creation. Now, I've worked with some really conscious beings who say, I don't really care what happens in all of creation. Well, that's interesting. Most of those people are not thriving in life. They're not thriving in life, right? There's a lot of distraction. Screw it, I'll go get drunk. I tried to have a job, can't do it. A constant step outside the house only to retreat back. Another meditation retreat. Another, oh, let me try the same thing in a different way. It's not that you're not conscious. This is not a consciousness problem that I've been seeing over the past 10 years of work. What's really happening is a constriction, right? You have all the consciousness you need. God lives in your spine, so stand up straight. You have the gift of consciousness. You have from day one, right? We're just uncovering the barriers to it, right? We don't need to pile more information on. We need to be pulling the programs off. And as we pull them off, we want to reprogram them so we can be in life. Let me give a good example. A lot of people I work with are in the maze, right? In the maze, there's a dead end, and they can go left or right. I can either work a job I do not like, or I can be broke and struggling for money. That's an energetic impasse. Just like we saw in creation when it was formed, there's an energetic impasse, and now we're fighting, right? So the energy wars and everything that happens in creation is not something you can look out through a telescope and view. You have to turn your eyes inward and look within yourself to see. So when you're constricted, all you can see is, I have to do this that I don't really want to do, or I'll be broke. Or I have to bend myself to be able to exist in this current romantic relationship, and that causes me a lot of suffering. However, it's better than the fear of being alone, right? Those are two options. So in the constriction, all you can see are the two options. This is the Piscean age. This is why Yeshua was flipping over money changing tables. The priests who were taking the money from the poor to absolve them of their sins were making the poor even poorer and the rich even richer. You're working with a finite energy source. There's only so much energy available. Just what was happening in all of creation. Now that the passageways in all of creation have opened back up, we're now working with an infinite energy source. So instead of seeing things as, I can either stay in this relationship that's not really serving me that well because it feels safer than being on my own, or I can work this job that I don't really like, but it's better than being broke, or vice versa. It's better to be broke than work a job I don't like. You're still moving around this really finite energy source, and that's not your fault. This happened really quick. It's available now. My job is to tell you that it's available. So when you're in the constriction, you're in the maze, you're in the either or. When you expand, suddenly there's a plethora. There's a huge platter of potentials, possibilities, probabilities, all created by the passageways opening up to this infinite energy source. How did these passageways open up? Enough conscious beings like you are on Earth. Wow. There's so many conscious beings on Earth right now. Maybe you didn't want to miss another apocalypse. Maybe you said, oh, this is not going to be one of those boring lifetimes. This one's going to be really good, right? You said that before you came in, and then you got here and you're like, oh no, I have to work to pay my bills. Oh no, I have to deal with the human body and its aches and pains. Oh no, I have to deal with aging in this biological form. So one of the areas that I'm focusing on, and I'm bringing everything down and simplifying it, right? I look back at the New Energy Creator page over the last 10 years, and there's over 300 videos I just moved to unlisted. 300. Because I realized I was complicating things. And maybe that was necessary. Here's a look at enlightenment from the view of Yeshua. Here's a look at enlightenment from the view of Mary Magdalene. Here's a view of enlightenment from Ascended Master El Morya, Kutumi, Saint G, Tobias, all the different beings I've worked with over the years, Yogananda. And I realized that all of the materials that I've been putting out, they were great at the time. However, a supreme simplification needs to occur to be able to access this new energy that's available to everybody. The only thing that's preventing you from being in this infinite energy source is also the one thing that's going to be the solution to the energy crisis of all energy crises that happen within you and in all of creation. That's the biological body. This biological body is both evolutionary and creationary. So we created this standardized form towards the end of the Atlantean era. We did it to level the playing field so we could all experience Earth on a shared screen with a shared level of intellect. Prior to the standardization of the human form, there were some very tall beings, some very small beings. There were beings who were animal-like and beings who were more human-like. There were beings with supreme intellect and ability to manifest, and there were beings who did not have the intellect or the ability to manifest, and that was creating some imbalances. So the original intent of this human biology, this standardized form, was to level the playing field so we could create a reality to understand how energy works, to gain experience that we could wisdomize and integrate into ourselves. We didn't have a whole lot of wisdom when we came to Earth. We had a lot of knowingness, we had a lot of cosmic understanding, but we didn't have a lot of experience with how energy works, how you experience in this Earth reality and then gain energy, wisdom from the experience. But that has gone on for so long. It went on through the Piscean age. That's the age of Yeshua, right? And all the eras. We had Egypt and Greece and, the Garden of the Gods at the very beginning. We had the Lemurian age, the Atlantean age. There's so many eras that we've been through. Everything has been focused on one thing. How does energy work? What is the solution to my longing? What is the solution to this void I feel inside myself? You can think of energy like answers or solutions. This is not any different than how you experience and express in your day-to-day life. You don't leave the house, you're constantly sitting in your pajamas, integrating, watching another channel, integrating that, and then it's like people are selling spiritual levels. Oh, and while you're integrating, you pulled a muscle in your neck. Oh, and someone mentioned the vagus nerve, so you're going to work on your vagus nerve now. Oh, and if you just change your breath, it's like all this stuff just gets piled and piled on top. The solution to the energy wars is not inside yourself and all of creation. is not piling more stuff on. It's looking at what's piled on and reorganizing it into a new, cohesive, clear, singular communications network. How do you do that? So as I return to the 0 point and begin to come out of it, creating more materials for you all. I haven't gone away. Some people have emailed me, "You've left us." No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I have not. I just realized I was going about things the wrong way. And perhaps wrong being just missing the mark. I was missing the mark. Now that this new energy era is on Earth, the way I want to come at what I share with you all is deducing it, not layering on top of it. You know, let's say you have a roof on your house and the roof gets damaged. You call a roofing company. The cheapest option, they say they're just going to come and nail another roof on top, right? And because you're limited in your energy resources, you go, okay, I'm going to go with the cheapest option. So they just layer some more shingles on top of your roof, right? The other option is to get it done right. You remove every single shingle off the roof and you put a whole new roof on. Takes more time, costs a little bit more energy, money's just energy. I don't see them as any different. Money and energy are the same thing. You live an abundant life and you love life, you're going to have plenty of energy, plenty of money, plenty of health. Your health is energy. It's how much energy is flowing in your body that determines how healthy you are. It's how much energy is flowing in your bank account that determines your financial health. It's how much energy you have flowing in your body that determines the health of your relationships. If someone's having a tough time in a relationship, you know you can fill yourself up in their absence, right? So what I was doing before was very Piscean age, limited energy age, right? We're working in a finite energy source, limited energy. I was putting out shingles to patch the roof. What I'm doing now, for those who are interested, is let's take off the whole roof and redo it in supreme sophistication. So I have created a series of events in person. That's another thing I realized through my 10 years of experience and expression in this role that I play. This act of consciousness. What I realized is that we need to simplify. We need to simplify and we need to focus on the biology. I realized that coming on the calls every month or coming to our online events, people would show up one way and then go right back into acting another way. Most of the consciousness, the big ahas, the big developments were happening conceptually, but they weren't sinking down into deeper layers of your beingness in your biology. Biology is key in this specific part of the new energy era, in Kainos. A lot of people are still playing hide and seek. Pop out, look a certain way, go back in. I can see this in the convoluted communications. To be a new energy creator, you need to be able to stand up straight, to speak clearly and fluidly. I am that I am. Lauren, a human being in a cosmic consciousness, all rolled into one. When you express yourself as a woundy, watery victim, I don't know how to do this, I can't be on earth, I can't. When you express yourself that way, and God knows I get it, and I have moments and I have to correct myself immediately. When you do that, you're creating a reality that's watery, woundy, and victimy. I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. A lot of that is constantly going on. Or someone will come express themselves very clearly, say on their social media page, but then they retreat back into the old patterns. So this requires a supreme honesty with who you are and yourself. Every day I am looking at where I'm still limiting myself. This new energy is making it impossible for me to look away. This new energy, this kainos, is making it impossible for me to operate in the old ways. The events that I'm designing, you will not be able to leave that event and go back to a limited life. It's not for everybody, right? If you want to continue to live in your limits and keep going down a trajectory that is a dead end, an energetic impasse inside of you, I just see people chugging away, right? They've had their business they're running, their spiritual business, their consciousness business. They've been running it a certain way. How do I know? How do I know any of this? It's because I have done it, I do it, I have to correct it. I'm redirecting, rechanneling energy in every moment, but they keep going down this same path. This relationship will get better. I will have more subscribers for my YouTube channel. I'll have more people sign up for my healing modality if I just keep at it. It's not an effort problem that you have. You guys have plenty. You have efforted plenty. It's you need to reprogram and sit back and allow this rechanneling. So the series of in-person events I have designed, the first one being in Kelowna, Canada. Everything is secured. It's halfway filled instantly, right? Because people are asking for this. I'm filling a need for what people are asking for. That's October 30th through November 2nd. That's the first one. Then we're going to head to Europe in 2026, South America, other places on Earth to really establish this new energy coming to Earth. We can't just do it in North America. We're going to move around. You can be a part of this. The energy war that you think is happening outside of you on Earth in your news channels is actually what's happening inside of you as a human and all of humanity. So at these light body code events, right, the light body codes we'll be focusing on will be simplicity, will be clarity. Clarity is really interesting because everybody wants clarity, yet once you find it, it's quite hard to stay in alignment with it. It requires you to be broken down and reformed over and over again. If you stay in the beam of clarity, anything that wasn't clear is going to leave. Relationships, jobs, whatever. You're afraid of losing it. I totally understand, right? But staying in this clarity is also going to fulfill that original longing, desire, that itch you just can't quite scratch. And it is fulfilling, personally, self-fulfilling. It fulfills your needs as a human every day. Your bank account is always full. You swipe your credit card a million times. There's still money coming in because there's no energy war happening. You're pulling the strings, commanding energy, rather than allowing some kind of solution from outside of you to finally come in, right? The human's always in a state of allowing, right? But when you tap into this clarity, you have access to I am consciousness. I am then I am. I create my own reality, no matter what anybody else, the news, the media, my family, or anybody says around me. It requires almost a tunnel vision, not a tunnel vision that's distraction, but a tunnel vision on the light, on the consciousness. The solution to the energy wars is not more energy. The solution to the energy wars is connecting energy with consciousness. When you connect energy with consciousness, it creates this infinite energy source. And whether you're aware of it or not, you already have access to this. It's already happening inside of you. The only reason you can't see it is because of too much spiritual information, too many program overlays. Here's another course, here's some more stories, here's this, here's that. And you just keep adding on shingles onto the roof, right? So what we're going to do in the Light Body Codes event is take all the shingles off and rebuild the roof, right? Staying in clarity and the balls to hang on to it. It takes a lot of chutzpah to stay in the clarity and not go get drunk, get distracted, have another partner playing the dopamine chase on your text messages. Yeah, that's another thing. People are just trying to get the hit of dopamine from the new lover, from the new this, from the new that, from sex, and I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking or having sex. I'm open to both. However, I know that I cannot fill myself up that way. It's a nice way to express myself and have fun sometimes, but it's not used as a tool to shut down or shut off, right? So it's like, let's enjoy life. There's nothing wrong with, I got a side note, there's nothing wrong with like smoking, drinking, sex, blowing off steam. There's nothing wrong with any of it. The only thing that really it causes an energy shutdown is when it becomes a pattern. You have to drink. You have to have a certain amount of sex. You have to have the smokes to survive. You have to have that cup of coffee, right? So if you go without all that stuff for a couple days, then you can go back and enjoy it really thoroughly, right? And that's like when I see people who have aged poorly, that's not a judgment, it's just an observation. When people are aging poorly, it's because they're rooted in their patterns, and that breaks them down. Being rooted in your patterns, you do the same thing every day, you drive the same way to work, you have the same conversation with your husband or your wife every day, you drink a bottle of wine every single night, right? There's nothing wrong with any of those things. It's the pattern. That pattern creates gravity. Gravity ages you. So one of the side effects of being in the light body is you start taking off those layers. All of a sudden you look a lot younger and a lot fresher. You start aging backwards. So the light body codes will cover are this simplicity, this clarity. The other thing I want to talk about in the Light Body Codes events that'll take place over the next years is efficiency, right? To be efficient, you need access to information, access to subconscious patterns. Oh, wait a second. I'm in my clarity and I realize there's a pattern going on here. I watch it in myself every day. Trauma patterns, lack of self-worth patterns. Yes, even right? I have that pattern in me, but it's in the subconscious, right? So people are trying to, get their neck cracked and go to an Ayurvedic specialist and, go to the next thing and get the next life coach and whatever. However, if they just sat in the clarity and allowed those subconscious thoughts to come up to the surface, those subconscious patterns, those subconscious limitations, then you have a real and lasting access to information. So efficiency is based on being able to access these subconscious patterns. There's no modality, there's no change in diet, there's no withholding sex and food and everything that Gatumi kind of aimed at while he was here that is going to give you access to these subconscious patterns that are being called up to be rewired, repatterned, right? Instead of an old pattern, it's a new energy pattern. One of my new energy patterns is pattern into my bank account. I want to be able to, it came from the desire of like, I would like to share and be independently abundant from the spiritual materials, so I'm not directed in what I share in scarcity, right? So what I say here is not dependent on my ability to pay my own bills, right? So I watched over the last 10 years, I've watched all of my subconscious programming around money, I'm just using it as an example, come up, and then I've repatterned them. Right? All energy's coded, right? So if the software code on your subconscious belief systems are not working, you can reprogram the energy. A lovely being that we worked with was talking to me about an energy impasse in their bank account, and they started listing the reasons for that being the government of the country they lived in, the employment laws, the lack of options, right? So that is a subconscious programming, basic level of the subconscious programming that your external reality directs your ability to create. In the time of Yeshua, that was true, right? There weren't a whole lot of options for women. There weren't a whole lot of options for lower class people. There weren't a whole, like in India, there's the caste system. There was no way to move out of poverty. You were just born into it and you died into it. The new energy calls for these software codes, these energetic codes, to be rewritten. Who gets to rewrite them? You do, because you're God also. God lives in your spine, so stand up straight. Every pattern you regroove, driving a different way to work, having a different conversation with your partner, doing anything differently. If you drink a bottle of wine every night, take a couple nights off just to see how it goes, right? If you're constantly worrying about being healthy and working out and, have been like really strict with diet and exercise, take a day off. Go have a hamburger and a beer. It's not about the what. It's about the how. Oh, I'm stuck in this rut, and it could be a healthy rut or an unhealthy rut or a negative pattern or whatever. We don't need to label it. Anything that's repeated, right, to keep you here should be up for grabs. So you have access to these old program belief systems. I can't tell you how many people I work with who say, oh, I'm enlightened, and then the next sentence out of their mouth is a sentence of limitation. When you speak that out loud, you are literally creating it, right? Another person I worked with was keeping a journal. I'm a big fan of keeping a journal. I have a creative journal that I keep with my thoughts and visions and things I want to create because I have a passion for life and for being here. But she realized in her journal writing, oh my God, I sound like a victim. Now, is this person a victim? Not at all. She is a creator in her creation, right? But when she realized she was speaking from a place of victimhood, of not having enough, of, I don't know what I'm gonna do here, I have to have an uncomfortable conversation. She realized that's not who she was, but somehow her communication was coming out that way. She was able to click, redirect, and went back and rewrote everything in her journal to remove that victim identity, that subconscious layer out of it. Way to go, girl. Wow. I love it. A lot of this stuff is so simple you can't see it. A lot of your gifts are hidden. You know why? You have so many gifts. You have the gift of consciousness, but you also have something really special and unique to bring here to earth. Each and every one of you has something really special and unique to bring to earth, whether it be your story, your way of being, your interaction with animals. There's something unique and different about each and every one of you watching this. It's really about uncovering all the stuff on top of it, right? So you can see it clearly. Oftentimes people are trying to go above and reach out for something that they want to offer the world, whether it be their massage therapy practice or their art studio or their photography skills. It's so interesting because people's talents, they're so used to their talents that they actually can't see them. They're too obvious for them. So that's another facet of really being in this light body expression experience. Another one is a regulated nervous system. Understanding that every time your nervous system dysregulates, you're actually creating an energy shutdown, slowdown in your body. Doesn't mean it's wrong or bad when you have a nervous system dysregulation. It happens to the best of us. I was out and about in the city the other day running errands, going to get my nails done, running to the bank, going to the mall to grab something, doing all the stuff out there, and I just had a dysregulation. No big deal. Take a deep breath. Know what's happening. Went home to reset. 0 point. Get up after an hour, go back out. Have a conversation with my neighbor, right? You don't let it get tripped up. This is the efficiency. Other people have some kind of event happen and they shut down and they don't emerge from the house for another 6 months. Eventually, you run out of years. You spent your whole life having one moment outside the house and 8 months back in because it was too traumatic. Or there's people who are out and about all day long who never go within. So it's about finding a balance. There's no right or wrong. There's no clear pathway of you must eat this, you must spend this much time alone, you must leave the house, for those of you who don't leave the house. I will argue that you do. To be in the new energy, you need to be able to leave your house. If you're out and about all day long and you're running a business or you're just busy, you're not going to be able to access this new energy unless you take a step back and sit and just go, okay, what do I really want to be in life? So it's not about being out or being in. It's not about what you eat or don't eat. It's not about what you drink or don't drink. It's really about understanding who you are from the neck down. When the nervous system dysregulates and you panic, oftentimes the body releases cortisol, right? Cortisol tells you, this isn't safe, I'll just stay in my comfort zone. I can literally watch that occur in someone's body, right? I'll have someone say, oh, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna be big, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and they go out, the nervous system dysregulates, the cortisol, the stress hormone starts pumping in their body, and they say, oh, nope, never mind. I'm going to retreat back. We could go through all of these, and we will in the light body code events. The dopamine is up and it's low. Oh, I need to fill it back up. Serotonin levels high, serotonin levels low. Most people are being directed by this all day long, irregardless of their enlightenment or their, awakeness, their wokeness in a spiritual context. But they're unaware of what's happening from the neck down. It's only hanging in a conceptual level. Here's one size fits all approach. Start only eating fruits and vegetables. More cortisol, right? Your body's going, wait a second, I'm being starved. So I'm panicking about that. So this is really about just understanding what's going on in the body. I would call that access. You have access to an understanding of what's happening in your body in any given moment without judging it. A lot of this is being able to look at yourself with fresh eyes, almost to be able to be disgusted with yourself a little bit, like the woman who wrote her journal and realized, oh my God, every sentence I wrote in my journal, I sound like a victim. Let's rewrite it, right? So you have to kind of be able to look at yourself with those fresh eyes, kind of be a little bit disgusted or annoyed with yourself, and still love yourself at the same time. Understanding what helps me is realizing this human's not really me. It's a programmable, energetic expression of my consciousness. Who I am is not based on Lauren's personality. Therefore, Lauren's personality can be malleable and fluid. I used to get really irritated by what I call microaggressions, paper cuts, the neighbor saying, must be nice that you don't have to go to a job every day, or the woman irritated with me at the dog park. I was highly impacted by that. I thought it was my personality. I realized this isn't serving me well. I want a personality that's more Teflon, right? So the neighbor came by the other day and did one of those little microaggressions, those passive aggressive things, and I just smiled. Oh, I have a new personality. It's constantly moving and shifting for the maximum joy experience. This is the new energy expression. So I hope you come join us at a Light Body Code event. There's more coming to you soon, but I want it all to come from the 0 point. I'll put this video out, I'll hit the 0 point. I'll give it some time and space to kind of expand out. Then I'll come back, right? So efficiency, access to subconscious information, patterns, a clear vision, access, efficiency, simplicity. Something is, if you have an emotion, and I have plenty of them, if I have an emotion, I allow myself to feel it so fully, it moves entirely through me, and it doesn't get caught up or ping pong around like a pinball machine, you know, where the pinballs, it's not getting caught up because I have cleaned the system out in a way, reprogrammed the system to be a singular communications network. It doesn't mean that those feelings don't feel intense. In fact, I would argue they're more intense. For example, when my last dog died, I felt the extreme grief and sadness so intensely. I sat down on my kitchen floor, I cried, I wailed, I moaned, I called out to God for about 30 minutes, and then it was over. And then it was over. And all I felt after that was gratitude for having a dog for 11 and a half years who was a wonderful companion on this thing we called life. So I hope you feel into the new energy, and I hope you consider, if you're willing and ready to stand in this clarity and stay there, to come to one of our Light Body Code events this year or in 2026. My name is Lauren. I am an ascended master who returned to Earth for this new energy era. I'm just like you. I had a passion for being here, and then I forgot how hard it was to be here. And then I realized I could sit around and complain, sit in the audience of yet another spiritual transmission, or I could begin living my life and creating it from the inside out. So if there's anything that I will be offering you all, it will be for you to do the same for yourselves. You don't want to spend the rest of your life in the cave of your house or in the pattern of express, experience, retreat, wisdomize, integrate, go on another diet, go to another meditation retreat, come out, try to do your business a different way, but it's the same, go back. It's not working. It's not working, right? This is about moving from the maze to the labyrinth. In the labyrinth, there are no dead ends. In the maze, you have to negotiate left or right, stay in this relationship or leave this relationship, work this job or be poor, right? That's negotiating. The new energy calls for navigation. I'm in the labyrinth. I'm taking a turn around the labyrinth. It's a little bit weird, but I am navigating inside myself. As you navigate the internal terrain inside yourself, which is unlike anybody else's terrain, you are opening up the passageways in all of creation. You are creating a solution to the energy wars inside yourself, and that widens out like dropping a pebble in a still lake. Those widening rings of being reach out to the far edges of creation. So you're living a happy life and creation is healthy. Is this going to happen overnight? No. It takes a supreme disciplined curiosity to keep coming back to the beam that is you. So much more coming your way. No timeline. You want to check out the event we do have set up and is already filling up? Go to lightbody.codes. Just type it into Google and it'll pop up. I'll see you soon.